I figure it's time to talk about my wonderful baseball career. I was big into baseball in the 90s. Who wasn't? That was a great time for baseball. The Braves were good. King Griffey Jr. was hitting home runs. Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, all of them were hitting home runs. It was just generally a great time to watch baseball. So, of course, I had to play. And I signed up for T-ball. And T-ball team was coached by a husband and wife. They were retired, looking for something to do, which was nice of them, but in reality, the wife did all the coaching. The husband didn't do shit. He claims he did, and even to this day, he takes credit for all my athletic accomplishments, which there aren't any, but he acts like he was that shining beacon for us no-talent misfits, because his grandson was on the team and good. Still is. He ended up being a great baseball player, played college baseball for 4 years, and was a good player. But we didn't have many others. Another guy, I think, ended up playing college baseball, but T-ball talent isn't indicative of future results. And in my case, I was big and slow and awful. I mean, a lot of other kids that threw really terrible and really awful. And the coach was really old school. Like, you're running around in 90-degree heat, and I'd get thirsty. And I'd ask the coach, can I get some water? He's like, what do you need water for? You'll get waterlogged. What? I never understood that. But now I do, because old school coaches, water was for sissies. But I was definitely a sissy at age 6 because I wanted some damn water. And back then it was Sunny Delight. And they had another coach. He was the parent of a girl on the team. I just remember him being like, he's a big kind of burly man with a beard. He looked kind of like the sheriff on Stranger Things. So I thought, but I've seen him in later years, and he was a short man. He wasn't even 5'7", but back then he was scary. And we practiced. My family was in on it. My uncle, my dad, my sister, my mom. We'd throw the ball around trying to get better. We'd practice. And I remember they'd always say, well, you need to throw it more accurately. Okay, and then they'd throw it back to me. Hey, can you throw it more accurate? No, not every throw is going to be to you. What? Another confusing moment. I still can't figure it out to this day. I need to throw it more accurately, but everyone else can just not. That's just how that works. And even now, I can't get a good explanation out of my dad about it. He got frustrated one time and said, well, we weren't the ones playing baseball and needed to be better. Because the more accurate you throw, blah, blah, blah. But no one ever came up with a good reason. It was just, for a 6-year-old, that was just so confusing. Hey, throw it more accurate. But everybody else, just let them throw it however. And we were awful. We tried, but the rest of the team, we were not that talented. We won one game, which T-ball, you don't really need much, but got a trophy, which my dad was very angry about because he didn't believe that everyone should get a trophy. Because used to be only one person on the team got trophies because parents didn't want to spend money on their kids in the 60s. The next year, I signed up for a different team in a different area closer to where I lived, and we were actually really good. I had a bunch of good players, a bunch of people that could catch and throw, and that is the only formula you needed in coach pitch. If you had somebody that could catch and somebody that could throw and hit, it really was that simple. You had a 5-tool player right then and there. So we won a bunch of games. We didn't win because of me. I mostly kept my fat ass in right field and waited on a ball to be hit to me that would never come. I probably got a couple of hits, but I really wasn't good. We tried hard, and we ended up finishing second in the league, though. I don't know if there's anything to get excited about, but it did get a trophy, which was nice. But the year after that, during the year between I was 7 and 8, we practiced. We worked. My sister played softball, so we practiced together with my dad when we could. and I wanted to be good. And that is when I peaked, because at age 8, that was as good as it got. I've been blossomed into a good hitter. I could field the ball, which put me ahead of pretty much the whole team. So I was the best player on a pretty atrocious team. We were terrible. We were almost as bad as the T-ball team. We won one game and had some good hits. It just always felt like every game where I got a great hit or did something, my dad was working. But every game he wasn't working, he'd be there. I'd strike out or just do something boneheaded, and he'd remember that forever, because he doesn't remember me ever getting a big hit because he wasn't there for it, which sucks. My mom was there though, but I even went to baseball camp that year. But another point of contention with my dad was I did it, and I came in a good hitter, and I thought I was going to come out a great hitter. I came out an even worse hitter than I was. I went from getting hits in every game several times a game, because we were so bad. I was lucky to bat twice, because we would get run limited, and then 3 people would get out or strike out, and that was it. So one game I got to bat 3 times, so you had to take advantage of your hitting opportunities. And then more of just the coach was nice. I liked all the coaches. There was nobody to... Coach was a nice man. He didn't play favorites. I liked that. Now, next year's team, very different. It was the same guy that coached me when I was 7. And he was a nice man. They all meant well, but he definitely was biased towards his son. His son was every bit as bad as I was. But for some reason, his son thought he could pitch. And so he let him pitch in games, and he was truly atrocious. Such that the first time he pitched in a game, because he was that bad, he was so bad that his dad didn't want to pitch him. And then he finally, because he was spoiled, he talked his dad into it. He threw the pitch so far out that it hit the guy's bat. The guy didn't even swing, and the ball went forward, and he got him out. And everybody's like, oh, well, maybe he can pitch. But I was the only one that noticed. And when I was 9, I was a decent enough hitter. Live pitching takes some getting used to, because with the coach pitching, and very accurately, I might mind you, those throws were to me. It was easy to hit, but with somebody pitching, it was very different. And I actually got on base quite a bit, because people couldn't pitch to left-handed batters because they weren't used to seeing them. So guys we had an ace pitcher that was really good. Like he was just absolutely mowing people down on our team. And he'd pitch practice, and as soon as I'd come up, he'd hit me with the pitch, hit me in the helmet. Everybody else, he was just throwing bombs. But when I came up, less so. He must have peaked then too, though, because I don't think he ever went on to play much. But hey, good for him, because that was my dream. I always wanted to pitch. I wanted to be a pitcher. I practiced with my dad. And my dad, not known for his sugarcoating ability, he would just always say, well, they only take the best, and you're just not the best. You just need to work on your accuracy. So I got to pitch one game for like an inning, half an inning, while they warmed up a better pitcher they wanted to pitch. So that was my shining moment, and I'm proud to say I got everybody out. I even had one strikeout. But did they take notice and let me pitch again? No. Played on the same team when I was 10, and got a little bit better. I got some hits, but again, my dad still thinks, oh, all you did was strike out when you were just awful. And it wasn't fun anymore, because my dad was very against anything that got in the way of his vacation. Anything. So the fact that he had to give up going to the beach to watch me play baseball poorly, I don't think he would have minded so much if I'd been like all world or just good, but he pushed me enough that I finally just like, look, I'm not going to do this anymore. I quit it when I was 10. I got tired of the coach being biased towards his kid who's a terrible player. I got tired of the other teams because the team I was on and the team that practiced next to us hated each other. I didn't go to school with the people I played with, but they absolutely hated each other. They always were trying, like, there would be fights every day. Like, that kind of hatred. If a ball went to their side of the field and you asked for it back, they'd throw it at the back of your head. So you had to, you'd be trying to practice and you'd be turned the other way while people are throwing the ball at each other. It was just, I don't understand what can create that kind of hatred between people who go to school together, but they absolutely despised each other. And I didn't go to school with them, but the guys on my team always had an inferiority complex against the better teams. And there was another thing about that year. The best team in the league ended up splitting up. They split into a team of some of the better players just went over to the good team. They called them the Cardinals. The Cardinals were really good then. They had Mark McGuire. He was hitting home runs, so they wanted to be the Cardinals. And that was the year when I was 10 of the protests, because we played the Cardinals and we're beating them because we were a pretty decent team. Had good pitching, had decent hitters, had a passable right fielder in me. And we were winning, and then one of the outfielders, a guy named Michael, he messed up an easy fly ball and like 2 runs scored, and the coach pulled him out. You think it's no big deal, but that doesn't fly. Like, there's equal playing time. Everybody has to, like in the Little League World Series, you had to play an inning and play an inning at bat. Well, the Cardinals took notice of this, and even though we beat them pretty handily, actually. I think we beat them 14-8. And not to throw Michael under the bus, he wasn't that bad. That's something anybody could have messed up, but the coach really messed up by doing what he did. Because I went to school with some of the guys on the Cardinals, like, hey, we won, but we won the protest. Huh? Got a little confused at that. We won the protest. And then another game, something happened where the guy got hurt and they wanted to replace him. Well, the Cardinals didn't like that, so they protested that. And they won the game, but they still protested. In another game, the other good team complained that the Cardinals had too many coaches in the dugout, or complained that it was always something. It wasn't, so they couldn't win by regular means, so they wanted to cheat. I didn't like that, and it's kind of a cheap way to play. And I felt bad. My friend's dad was the league commissioner, and you could just tell he was just like, I am never doing this again. I hate dealing with these people. But the Cardinals did win the protest, and we had to play them again, and we of course lost because they kind of wanted it more, and that was fine. But like I was saying earlier, I eventually quit. I didn't play Little League. Not like I would have gotten any better, and the pitching would have only gotten better, and I would have been a hindrance because I only ever was put in the outfield. I probably would have been a good first baseman, but that coach only thought of his son and never thought too highly of me because big, fat, and slow. But a little bit about my baseball career. I enjoyed it. I don't really miss it, but if there was one thing I could be, like, I'm an avid golfer, but if I could have just been a pitcher, I think that would have been cool. But oh well, life goes on.